Hello Taurus, Taurus Rising and Taurus Moon people. This is your weekly astrological and card horoscope for the week starting August 21st, 2017. And a quick reminder for everybody, I know that there's an eclipse this week on Monday. However, I did cover that in the monthly astrology horoscopes for August, and I want to make sure that everything I put out does have a little bit of something new to it. So I'm not going to be going over the eclipse again. I'm going to be talking about different aspects that are impacting this week and this week alone. So if you do want to figure that out, again, go to my main channel page. You can just click on my username below the video, and it'll take you to where you can see the playlist for August 2017. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com. So what is going on with your astrology this week anyway, Taurus? Well, early on in the week, on Tuesday, we've got Mars, planet of action and energy, in your 4th house of home and family, forming a gorgeous trine to Saturn, currently in your 8th house of shared resources and passive income. And this could be wonderful news when it comes to maybe an ideal home arrangement coming out of nowhere, or perhaps actually overcoming an impediment to the ideal household or the ideal household arrangement for you and your family. If we've been trying to make some kind of a move, if we are maybe in a situation where we're maybe not necessarily happy with the way things are going on with home economics, or maybe we've been having a hard time dealing with roommates and neighbors and things like that, Mars trine to Saturn kind of is one of those, alright, I've just had about enough, we're just going to fix it and stop it, and everyone's just going to have to move on. And that kind of energy can be so helpful, I think, when it comes to people being able to just kind of get over what they've learned to live with. And that's kind of an energy that's all about this week. What is the block? What is the impediment? What is the burden that we've learned to live with? And with Mars trine to Saturn, we're learning not to live with it. We're learning to let it go. And it may actually be taken off the table before we thought we were ready. Also on Saturday, we've got Mercury, currently retrograde in Virgo in your 5th house of love and romance, forming a charming connection to the Sun in this area. And usually there's a big opportunity for a second chance, or maybe even a reconciliation going on with this kind of energy. If you have been trying to maybe, go down memory lane a little bit with a former love or a former crush or a friend that maybe there was always some chemistry with, this could also be for an existing couple. For a current couple, there could be a reconciliation, or perhaps even a tremendous opportunity to, not necessarily rewrite history, but to close the book on something that the two of you have sort of always kind of not dealt with between the two of you. Mercury retrograde, again, does always often take us back to the past, but with the Sun being conjunct, there's a focus on, again, healing and recovering and recuperating. And if this has been a situation where maybe, again, you and a partner, you and a crush, or you and this old flame, whoever, have kind of just elected to cut your losses and, again, learn to live with something that maybe you don't have to, this is the week where we get to see what can actually go and what new can actually be. So what is going on with your cards this week? Well, for your spiritual advice, we do have the card of the Water Dragon. Here's my little dragon, Rambo. Hey, sweetie. So with the Water Dragon, the card always talks about a need to pay attention to where there is a deficit of emotional currency around, and where do we actually get more emotional currency in all of our interactions, not just relationships, not just family, but also in friends, also in business. Because the Water Dragon talks about how, when you think about energy being exchanged between people establishing trust, breaking ground with one another, it's always the people who actually do have that very good, equitable exchange of emotional currency who forge the strongest bonds and establish trust. Nothing is more draining than being in a conversation with somebody who can't actually contribute any currency, energy, or emotion to the conversation. And this week you're going to be kind of put on notice to pay attention to where, how do we start fixing where some of these drains could be happening in our interactions? Where is there perhaps a deficit of emotional currency? Where are we maybe kind of, running on fumes with a couple of our connections because we don't seem to be having a collective rebonding experience? And, there are going to be opportunities to have that come up, but you've got to be willing to come out of your bubble as well. You're shedding like crazy. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Queen of Cups upright. Wonderful card because it does indicate a brilliant helper, a brilliant assistant is going to be coming your way this week. And the Queen of Cups often shows up when somebody wants to go to bat for us. This may actually be somebody who is going out of their way to give us some kind of glittering review or testimony, even though it may be out of the ordinary, out of the norm. We tend to see a very nurturing, very encouraging kind of figure in the Queen of Cups. We tend to see somebody who would volunteer you for something you were not going to volunteer for, but she knows it would be better for you, and you would be happier in the long run, either because she knows you, or she also knows what this means for your future. And there is an opportunity for, again, good fortune if you learn to trust that. There may be, kind of a weird feeling when you find out this person has been doing all this work behind the scenes, behind your back, or that this person, again, is maybe even volunteering to kind of shift your trajectory at the office in a different direction. But she may actually have some insight for you. This may actually be for the best. For your communications with air, we do have the Three of Cups upright. And interestingly enough, when it comes to the Three of Cups, we do have, again, people getting tighter around you. Groups closing in together, rebonding. When we talk about rebonding, it's kind of like getting back together with the gang and having your BFFs back again, having that dynamism, having that energy start to churn and create and be more productive. And with the Three of Cups, it does look to me like you could be actually having an opportunity to, re-cement your team this week. Again, where has everyone been drifting apart? Where has everyone been kind of floating around doing their own thing? This is an opportunity this week to kind of get, it's almost like your personal support system back on track, recruit your little army in its own way. And funny enough, I think that this is going to be a beautiful week for a lot of you Tauruses because of that. Even if you may have been taking some time to yourself, we've had a lot of energy, especially with Libra in your 6th house of work and reputation, keeping you very, very busy, maybe keeping you a bit out of the loop. We're trying to alter that in the last 2 months. He's there. For your challenge this week with fire, we do have the Ace of Cups upright. And again, I think that this card, the Ace of Cups is very interesting as a challenge because how are you going to cope when a person seems to be telling the truth and it's an inconvenient truth? Sometimes the Ace of Cups is a very loving card. It's a very nurturing card, but again, it's all about that emotional honesty. Sometimes we have to cope with the Ace of Cups as a challenge because sometimes the challenge of the Ace of Cups is always, alright, what we're doing is wrong, but everyone's getting along. And that can be a really, really interesting kind of, devil to dance with. Because when you look at the Ace of Cups, it's like somebody's, being honest and forthright with their feelings. They could be calling issues out. You could be feeling like there is a family member who's saying all the right things and they are correct, but you feel like it's wrong because it's like, well, we know what we're doing is wrong, but we're all getting along. And the Ace of Cups is kind of saying, okay, well, no, hold on, how do you back up the truth here? How do you be supportive for the person who's open to be vulnerable? How do you support yourself to be vulnerable when you need to be vulnerable this week? Because that opportunity is going to be there. And again, I think that we're just taking down a lot of walls for a lot of you Taurus people. I think a lot of pretense, a lot of defense mechanisms coming right down. And not just for you, it's also the people around you. For your emotions with water and your romantic life, we've got the Temperance card reversed. This card can indicate a need to pay attention to where this week a crush or a partner, or again, even one of our kids, is drifting away from, I'm getting it's more of an activity or a preoccupation or pastime that we share. They're not drifting away from us. But if we're not careful, we're going to take it personally. If we're not careful, we're going to think it's about us. If a person doesn't like going to that place, or doing that thing, or hanging out in that group, or whatever, it's nothing against us. And I think the Temperance card reverse is kind of saying, paying attention to where the drift may be about the activity or what we're doing, and not so much who we are, is important. The Temperance card reverse can also indicate a need, however, to pay attention to where somebody in this situation is kind of, excuse me, I think not necessarily trying to, with the Temperance card reverse, it's almost like they're not trying to take better care of themselves. And you may be noticing that. You may be feeling like somebody is not fixing a problem that you know is solvable. You know, maybe as a child, you're worried about your child letting the relationship go down the drain. Or you're worried about a partner not looking after their health. Or a partner's is worried about you not looking after a responsibility of yours. Whatever this is, it's all a very real, inconvenient truth. But again, it's the opportunity to get closer, and why would we deny ourselves that? So that is your horoscope, Taurus. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integratedmysticism.com.